Some breaking news. The entire Middle East has basically told the US to off, and they've said, we're not going to allow you to use our countries to bomb Iran. Obviously, the US had just sent aircraft carriers to Iran, and they're preparing to bomb Iran now. But today, the UAE and a lot of other countries in the Middle East have made it very clear that they are not going to allow the US to use their territory to carry out attacks onto Iran. And this is really quite a big deal. Obviously, back in June, when the US bombed Iran last time, the US actually used the military base in Qatar to do it. And because of that, Iran then carried out an attack onto that military base in Qatar, and they almost went to war with Qatar over that. And so these countries in the Middle East have decided, you know what, we're going to put ourselves first rather than the US first. And today they've said they're not going to allow the US to use their land and military bases in their countries to carry out attacks onto Iran. That even includes aircraft taking off from those military bases in the Middle East. And this means that if the US wants to carry out attacks onto Iran now, they either have to do it from the military aircraft carriers in the sea, or they've got to fly aircraft all the way from Europe or the US just to bomb Iran. So this really is quite a big deal, and it shows a lot of countries in the Middle East are starting to move away from the US, and they're now no longer scared to say no to the US, which is really something everyone needs to know about. But as soon as the US does carry out an attack...
This is the third day of the Operation Roaring Lion, the operation the Israeli army and the state of Israel set out to, with our great friends, the United States of America and President Trump, to thwart existential threats to Israel and great threats to America and the entire world. When I stand here in a place that was bombarded by the terrorists in Tehran against innocent civilians, you see the difference. The tyrants of Tehran target civilians. We target the tyrants of Tehran to protect civilians. I've said for many years that they threaten not only Israel and not only America. They chant death to Israel, death to America. That's their ultimate target. But I said that they would also target those in between, that they would target Europe. They did. And if this regime, this terrorist regime of the kind we've never seen in the world, if they get nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them, ballistic missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, they will threaten all of humanity. So we set out to protect ourselves, but in so doing, we protect many others. And I want to say special thanks to our great friend and a great leader of the world, Donald Trump, for joining us in this crucial effort.
Not at this point. The full-scale war has broken out that Israel and the US have been raining down missiles on Tehran and now increasingly other cities. They've been targeting military installations, missile dumps, technology places, government buildings. And Tehran has retaliated. I think there's a total of 12 countries it's now hit. It's been going after US bases across the region, and it didn't do that in the 12-day war last summer. There was one very symbolic hit against a US base in Qatar that they even warned the Americans they were about to attack to make sure that no one got killed. And this time, not only are they going after the bases with full barrage of missiles, but they're also targeting the hotels in town where the US personnel have been evacuated. So they're specifically trying to kill US servicemen. And in the midst of that kind of exchange, there's no chance for starting diplomacy. Moreover, Trump has said very clearly that the goal here is regime change, and he's warned the Iranians to stay indoors for the next few days. He's warned them that bombs will be raining down, and I talked to our team in Tehran, and that's exactly what's happening. But then he suggested that there would be some sort of pause, and then the people should take to the street and overthrow the government. So that has to play out, and that's going to take, it's not clear how long, but a week or two, maybe, until the bombing campaign is over and the government is sufficiently destabilized that a color revolution may work. At least that's what the American plan is. And at that point, when the pause comes, then possibly talks may open because they'll be looking for a change of regime and someone else to talk to. Because the last thing to say is Trump definitely doesn't want to get into a protracted war, that he needs to have this over relatively quickly because he doesn't want to go into the midterm elections in November, having started yet another war, another endless war. That will play very badly with the electorate. So he's hoping for a short, sharp, quick solution to this by regime change through revolution.